Hello and welcome to We Who Survive. My name is James, and today we are going to take a look at the indie game Crab Champions. So Crab Champions was actually created by
Noise Storm,
who is the creator of Crab Rave. Crab Rave was made in Unreal Engine 4, originally as an April Fool's joke before going viral, but I know everybody knows what Crab Rave is. It literally took over the internet. So
Noise Storm
took it upon themselves to take the cute crab idea and turn it into basically a near endlessly looping high-intensity shooter. I guess many compare it to Risk of Rain 2, which I have minimal experience in, but I can confirm that this is very similar in orientation. So as far as I understand, this is a one-man show, so I would keep that in mind expectation-wise. This does appear to be a one-man development team. But with that in mind, let me tell you that this game is honestly just a total blast. I don't usually play this style of game, so I probably can't judge it properly against what it is supposed to be or what it could be. I am also unfortunately limited by my time and limited in what I can experience difficulty-wise and how far I can go. But I played this game for a couple hours after planning to play for really about 30 minutes, and I can tell you that the game is thoroughly addicting. So as of right now, Crab Champions is in early access on Steam, and it can be purchased for $9.99 US. I bought the game for $8 something because it had a 15% off sale for its first week. Unfortunately, that has now passed. But regardless, I would say it's a pretty fair and cheap price for what you get and likely will get more of. So to start, there is a sort of base or tutorial island. The tutorial island sort of offers one very basic tutorial, which more or less teaches you the aerodynamics of your crab and how to navigate, but that is a very important skill. I only one time experienced a race stage of sorts. I can't think of the official name, but it would have been fun. However, I was unprepared as I had not seen or ran into the little tutorial area, so I barely had control of my crab and the whole thing was sad. However, after doing that little tutorial, plus naturally just from playing, it eventually got much more effortless to guide my crab, and it felt like an overall smooth and mostly well-controlled experience. There is lots of fluidity to the movement once you get it down, and also a cool time dilation effect happens when you're in the air and start shooting at enemies. That time dilation effect turns out rather crucial for certain enemy types, like these lightning skulls, which pretty much make normal difficulty impossible for me without being able to sit and grind some practice nights. The trouble is, I kept getting better, and I kept wanting to push further, so it's honestly a really addicting formula and really well done. It would take some time that I don't have, however, to master, but I suppose that's the point and will help keep the game worth playing, especially now that it's still in early access. Having some difficulty curves should at least keep it interesting, and having the hard mode to move up to should keep you entertained a bit longer. The game moves in stages. It's so far that I have seen mostly the same. There's so many arenas, then a horde, then a shop, then a smaller version of that repeats, leading to an elite enemy before changing biomes and getting some cool enemy and scene switch-ups. I was only able to experience this by going to easy mode, as I only had one night to practice and play, but it was a very cool experience seeing the ice biome. Easy is definitely a little too easy, but besides practicing to get better, one can also unlock these guns on the tutorial island, and there's rocket launchers and all kinds of stuff. So I was able to unlock these honestly pretty crappy double shotguns by beating a biome on easy. I thought this would make normal easier, but not with this weapon. Perhaps the next one or down the road. The shooting and weapons are not bad, however. I do not know if there's anything special to them really, but they certainly aren't bad. And once I got used to it, I found even the starter rifle super fun to play with. You'll also have a grenade option and a melee option. Melee, I think, has very limited last-minute use cases, but the grenades are an essential part of moving stages and surviving hordes especially. So the real key to all this, however, is just going to be practice, repetition, and getting used to your movements and controlling your crab. The enemies have quite a bit of variation to me, although I think many would disagree. However, I can say on certain runs I saw certain enemies I never saw before or after, depending on levels and random arrangement. So there's some enemies like the other crabs that are pervasive everywhere, and you'll see them in every biome. But for instance, in the ice biome, they become ice crabs, so there's at least some variation even to the common enemies. Lots of the medium and large but not elite enemies have environmental impacts upon death, and also as their attack, so there's a lot of avoidance and mindfulness even while taking things out. You can also use this to your advantage, however, as there are explosive little rocks all over the environment, and those can help you immensely when you learn how to use them. They also occasionally drop a skill or something to pick up, but that's super rare. Some enemies seem a bit overpowered in a sense amongst the large mobs, like the large lightning skulls, but I think part of the problem with that is how small some of the maps are and how few objects to hide behind there are on some. It leaves you really limited options for what almost seems like an overpowered enemy in the base stage. This may fully be a difficulty and skill issue on my end, however, so I wouldn't knock the game for it without trying it yourself. I guess the last major thing to cover would be the shop and buffing system. In between certain stages, twice per biome, there's a shop segment. Be careful the upgrades you buy and their order. Some offer more max HP and some immediate healing, but there's free healing in Tony's Garden in the shop scene, and you can also sometimes find extra crystals back there to shop with. The shop itself is basic but useful. You're given options, you can rarely buy everything, and you have to make some choices. You can also re-roll the shop for 10 crystals, and sometimes random totems pop up, like risk 50% of your health to gain 50% max health. So high risk, high reward, I guess. The buffs themselves get pretty crazy and highly useful, also completely necessary to moving through with any hope or chance of surviving. So I'm not going to explain them all, I will just show some footage. One worth talking about, however, is this one which gives random debuffs to enemies. So this one's super crazy and fun, and I'd recommend playing with it. You can freeze enemies, you can start them on fire, and you can electrocute them all in one clip. So it's honestly quite a blast, and it can be a real game changer when you freeze a large enemy or something. Getting that like 3 to 5 second cooldown and slowdown, especially if you're midair jumping and now you're in slow motion, you can get a lot of shots off. So I had a lot of fun playing this game, honestly too much fun, and I wish I had a good excuse to keep getting better and keep playing it. Especially as more content's definitely going to be releasing down the road. I think it's a great introduction to what'll be a great game, so long as you bear in mind its indie development and indie price. This is not a AAA blockbuster game of the year, but you could accidentally sink more time into it than those games if you let yourself get lost in the tartar sauce, and it may be my personal indie game of the year. Well, how do you feel about this game now that you've got a taste of it? Please let me know down in the comments what you think. Do you have any interest in buying Crab Rave 2 Electric Boogaloo? If you've already played, definitely let me know what you think down below, because I want to hear what everyone else is thinking, and if anyone else is enjoying this as much as I did. So that's all I got for you on this one, survivors. I will see you in the next one. Long live the crab.